Hello guys, welcome back to AWM FX. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, no matter where you are. Hopefully you guys out there are in good health, take care of yourself, and of course, great wealth, earning a lot of money from the market. So today I'm going to share with you another type of setup. All right, don't get confused with the previous one like the QML, SPR, RBS. So this is a type of setup taught by my mentor. I rarely use it, but recently I just came across a lot of trades. Suddenly they have this kind of setup. So I'm gonna explain it to you guys, and hopefully, you guys can gain a few tips or tricks about this, and then earn a lot of money. All right. So first of all, let me give you an example of an uptrend. So the price is moving an uptrend. All right. So this is an uptrend. So what happened next is that there is a possibility when there is an uptrend, there is a possibility there is a we call this a demand zone. All right. In this case, a demand zone over here. All right. Just bear with me. All right. Just bear with me. I'm going to explain. Of course, I'm going to give you a lot of the rules, right? You have to follow the rules strictly, or if you want to trade this type of trade successfully. All right. So what happened was that there is a demand zone over here, right? There is a demand zone over here. So what happened next is that the price dropped, all right? Drop, breaking this demand zone, right? Something like this, breaking this demand zone, right? So first we have our demand zone, right? We mark it something like this. So. All right. We have our demand zone. Don't matter, right? Does not matter the color of the. All right. We have the wick on top. All right. Right. Let's assume it's a green color. It's okay. So what happened is that this is your demand zone, and then the break. All right, there is a break. All right, so the theory will be the price likely will come back to this area and then drop, continuously drop. But this time, your marking will be a bit different from the previously. So this is the demand zone. All right, it's already dropped. So now your entry point will be from the body, all right, to the highest wick. All right, you assume it as, you mark it as a supply zone. All right, let's make this different color so that you guys won't get so confused. All right, so you assume it as a supply zone. The price will come back to this area and then continuously drop. Right, so now I'm going to give you the rules. You have to follow the rules strictly. It's very simple. It's very, very simple, but the rules have to be followed. Right, so the first thing, of course, right, the demand zone, right, has to be fresh. Right, the demand zone has to be fresh. Right, you look at it. This demand zone before the fall of this candle, it has to be fresh. It has to be fresh. All right, it has to be fresh. Very, very obvious. It has to be fresh. If it's already tested prior to this drop, then it's no more valid. Right, the risk is higher. So the second rules, all right, the second rules, in this case, it has to be a higher low and have gap on left and right. Right, it has to be a higher low, means that the price is moving high, higher low, higher low. Right, it has to be a higher low in this case. If you reverse it, it has to be a lower low. Okay, lower high, sorry. So later I'm gonna share with you the the buy setup. So now this is a sell setup. So it has to be a higher low over here, and it has to have a gap on the left hand side and on the right hand side. Right? It does not matter it's a 3 to 4 candle or 5 or 6 candle. All right, on the left or the right, it has to be have gap. Right? If the demand zone is in the movement, when it's in the movement you don't have gap, then it's not correct. It has to be individually hanging out. There is a gap on the left and on the right. Right? So this is the second rules, very very important. Of course the third rules. All right, candle that break the zone has to be a single candle. Right? Right. Candle that break the zone has to be a single candle. Right? This is the zone we are talking about. So the candle that break this zone over here, it has to be a single candle, very very big strong candle, right, all the way down. Then this is for all this. I mean, if you have the first criteria, second criteria, third criteria, everything is fulfilled, then this is a potential setup. All right, this is your potential setup, and then you can aim for your sell at this area. When the price comes back to this area, the price will likely retest and then drop again. Right? So these rules has to be clear. You guys have to be clear. Right? So another things that a lot of people will ask is that time frame. What time frame does it matter? It does not matter. All right, whether it's a H1, H4, day one, or M5, even M5. If you see this kind of movement, then you have your zone or your setup for the price to uh, trade. All right, you have your price for it to trade. You have your trade. So let me give you an example. All right, so I'll give you an example. So over here is that this is something that I caught uh, yesterday night. Right, yesterday night. So we can see the price. Of course, this is a H1. Right, even in H1 or M30, it does not matter. So I switch it to M30 first. Later, I'm going to switch it back to H1. Then you see that there is not much difference. So the price, if you can see, is making higher high, higher low. Sorry, over here. Higher high, higher low, and then higher high. Right? So ultimately, what happened was that the price dropped significantly. All right? Then the price now comes back to this area. Right? Previously, this is my demand zone. Previously, this is my demand zone. Right? This will be my marking of this the demand zone. Right? So what happens is that the price drop in a single candle, ignoring this zone over here, which have a gap on the left, on the right, and it's a higher low. Right? So now it's already break. Now my entry point will be from the open to the highest point. Right? To the highest point. I mark it as a supply zone, and then the price comes back to this area, retest, and then drop nicely. Right? Drop nicely. So this is your zone where should you put your stop loss. Right? All right. This is the zone. You can place your stop loss maybe 5 to 10 pips away. It depends on you. 5 to 10 pips away. It depends on the time frame. Sometimes it's very hard for me to tell you how many pips you should put because it depends on your time frame. So for me, I will usually add my spread. I'll just add a bit of my spread, something like this. Right? And then the price drop. This is my zone. Price drop nicely. All right? So if you look at it, my if you look at it, my rules. Okay, first rule is what? Let me get this nearer, easier. easier for us to look at it. All right, so what is my rule? First rule is that this is a fresh demand zone. This is a fresh demand zone. Second rule, it has to be a higher low. All right, means the price is climbing up. This has to be a higher low. Then has to have a gap on the left hand side and on the right hand side. Means that it's hanging out by its own. All right. Then what happened was that the price that breaks the demand zone over here has to have a single candle. You see, this is a strong single candle, right? It doesn't matter on top, the one that break the zone, single candle, right? So now we have a potential setup. The price comes back to this area and then retest. All right, the price comes back to this area, retest. So this is a setup that is called the blind spot, right? Blind spot. All right, keep this in mind. Now, if you guys understand about the sell setup, let's flip the chart and then look at the buy setup. All right, it's easier for me. So what happened next is that price is making higher, high, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low. So there has to be a lower high instead of higher low, lower high. Then what is this? This is a supply zone. So first you have to mark as a supply zone, right? Then when the price break in the single candle, so this price has to be a green color, of course. This one has to be a red one. This has to be green one. So the price break in a single candle, right? Now you mark the zone as if it's a demand zone, right? You mark it as if it's a demand zone. The price likely will come back to this area, retest, and then what happens next is that it will rise. It will bullish, right? It will go all the way bullish, right? So let me guess what likely is the question that we're going to throw to me. All right, first of all, this candle, all right, this candle has to have a very solid body that breaks. All right, if this candle is something like this, all right, and then have a long wick instead, no, this is not something that I want. No, no, no. That's how my daughter always talk to me. No, no. All right. It has to be a very solid body, right? Solid candlestick, right? Strong, solid candlestick, so that it has the body has to be there. So simple, easy, new type of setup. Don't trust a single word I say. All right. I just want to remind you guys, don't trust a single word I say. Go and backtest it yourself. All right. And you'll know how powerful this kind of setup is. Right. Don't trust me. Right. Don't trust me, because if you trust me, you guys will straight away go and test, go and not test, go and trade, right? Without anything, any experience. Go back test it, and then you'll see how good this setup is. All right, so that's all for today. Hopefully you guys really pick up a few tips or tricks about blind spots. Blind spots. All right, another type of setup on supply and demand. And if you guys like the videos that I produce for you guys, please do give me a like, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. So once the channel reach 2,500 subscriber, I'm gonna produce a set of supply and demand, all right, videos from the basic to the in-depth. All right, so that's all for today. So see you guys next time. Bye.
A few moments later.
All right, guys, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I supposed to end the video. But before I end, before I close my chart, I saw something interesting, which is the buy setup. All right, so let me explain a bit. Example of the buy setup. Same goal. All right. So if you can see, the price is making high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then lower low over here, right? So, all right. So what happened is that, so the rules is that it has to be a fresh supply zone. Yes, it is. There's the gap on the left and on the right. Yes, there is some gap on the left and some gap on the right. Right? This is still considered a gap, left and right. Right? As long as not the single candle, means that one candle, the third candle or the first candle or whatever. I think you guys know. So this is still considered valid. There's some gap. There is some gap. So what happens is that there is a strong break. There is a strong break. So I'm going to get this thing out so that you can see it clearly. This is a strong break. So previously, this is your supply zone. Right? You mark it as supply zone. Once it's break, you make it as a demand zone. All right? You mark it as a demand zone. So the price comes into this area, retest, and then rise. All right? Rise all the way. So a lot of you will say that, hey, this kind of setup, it might be RBS SPR, right? RBS SPR. So if you look at it properly, all right, I'm in 30 minutes. I switch it to, let me mark the zone first. Let's just assume it's here. I switch it to 15 minutes. That is nothing. I switch it to 5 minutes. That is also nothing. Can you see? That is also nothing over here, right? So means that this kind of setup, a lot of people do not know how to trade because there is no clear entry point previously. So now I already give you a new way to trade, right? A new way to, how should I say, a new way to entry, right? This is the blind spots, right? Even if you go into just now 30 minutes, I go to 5 minutes, this is my zone. I mark it as it is. All right, the price came into this area and then rise. Right, same kind of setup. There is gap left, right, right, and then there is a what we call it fresh zone. All right, and then the powerful candle that breaks it, single candle that breaks it. All right, no other disconnection over here. Price came to this area and then rise. All right, that's all for today. Really, really last. All right, so see you guys then. Bye.